Just 5 feet precise with it. Out of all you fighters I see getting on, doing the mitt work or the pad work, whatever you want to call it, I see y'all doing all this.
When Gervonta "Tank" Davis was left frustrated after footage surfaced of Jake Paul training alongside Floyd Mayweather ahead of their upcoming showdown. Mayweather explained that boxing is built on discipline, conditioning, and proving who can deliver the harder shots. He stressed that real boxing isn't just about flashy movement, but about pushing boundaries in camp and showing who can endure under pressure. Those words stirred tension, as Davis felt he was being overshadowed. Meanwhile, Floyd praised Jake Paul's dedication to training and his willingness to step into the ring against tough opponents.
I just like to push myself to be the best at whatever I do. It could be basketball, football. My dad introduced me to boxing in 1977, and I just took it to the next level. I love boxing, I love competing, and I love being the best. It was good with the fight camp so people can compete with one another, push each other, and it's fun. People want to see who hit the hardest, who's the fastest, who could throw the most punches, so it's a great product. It's about just competing and working hard, getting in shape, and enjoying yourself.
Paulie Malignaggi offered his perspective on Gervonta "Tank" Davis, grounding it in the history between Davis and Floyd Mayweather. He stressed that regardless of personal disagreements or the ongoing feud, Floyd's impact on Tank's career can't be dismissed. According to Malignaggi, Mayweather was instrumental in refining Davis's technique, instilling discipline, and giving him the foundation that separates world-class fighters from the rest. Even if Davis now downplays Floyd's role or focuses on their falling out, Malignaggi believes the truth is clear. The years spent under Mayweather's mentorship played a huge part in shaping the fighter Tank is today.
He was a flashy guy, and I actually liked that win for Gervonta.
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia, a lot of fluff again because he's a YouTuber who's never accomplished anything else besides being a YouTuber. Though there is talent there, it's unfulfilled and untapped talent, and the loss to Rolly Romero tells you that. So what has Gervonta Davis created, aside from being a manufactured creation that got a big push from Floyd Mayweather? Let's be honest here. A big push from Floyd Mayweather. And then after that, let's match him very carefully, because what do? We wanted to do the same thing with Adrian Broner, who had the balls to fight everybody. Say what you will about Adrian Broner, had the balls to fight everybody. Didn't duck a single fight. And they said, you know what? We wanted to do this with Adrian Broner. We wanted to just manufacture a star before he was made into a star. And we kind of messed up by matching him too tough. So the pendulum swung in the complete opposite direction here. It's not like you balanced it out. You went in the complete opposite direction and made this guy fight absolutely nobody constantly. And let me tell you something about the Lamont Roach fight. He's a 16-1 underdog going into the fight because they knew they didn't want to fight anybody who was a risk. There's a reason he's ducking the Lamont Roach rematch now. Because now you realize, wow, this guy...
Jeff Mayweather addressed one of the biggest factors in any potential fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, the size gap. He explained that Paul is naturally much bigger, both in weight and frame, and boxing has weight classes for a reason. Davis has made his mark in the lighter divisions, where his speed, timing, and explosive power give him an edge. Paul, on the other hand, has been competing at cruiserweight, where fighters carry an entirely different physical build. Jeff pointed out that putting them in the same ring overlooks the fundamentals of fairness in the sport and could affect the competitiveness of the matchup.
It's kind of weird because Jake Paul is extremely bigger than Tank, and I mean, but with it being exhibition, it makes sense. It's fine. He got a big name that he's going to be fighting, but I mean, it really makes no sense because he's gonna be weighing over 200 and some pounds. Tank's gonna probably be weighing maybe at the most 147, 150. So I don't even understand why the fight.
Jeff Mayweather highlighted the massive size difference between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, stressing that weight classes exist for a reason and putting them in the same ring raises questions of fairness. While Davis has built his career relying on speed, timing, and explosive power at lighter weights, Jake has consistently competed at cruiserweight with a naturally bigger frame. Echoing this, Eddie Hearn argued that a fight between the two blurs the line between sport and entertainment, saying it isn't truly competitive but rather a commercial spectacle fueled by celebrity status and social media hype, yet admitted admitted that from a business perspective, the matchup would generate huge global attention, ticket sales, and pay-per-view numbers, even if it compromises boxing's sporting credibility.
And they always said that there was a chance that Jake would fight in November. I think, wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then, but I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show, it's entertainment, it's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight, you know, with, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round? I don't know what it is, but, you know, I understand the market and I understand this freak show shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to do good business. However you want to be involved with it is another kettle of fish. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
In the meantime then, Eddie, where does that leave you with Anthony Joshua? Are you exploring other options for the end of this year, or are you still looking at that fight for the beginning?
Yeah, no, we're not interested in the Jake Paul fight right now after that. I mean, like, you know, we're not going to wait around till November. Is it November or December, whenever it is? And yeah, and see how he gets on. I mean, if he gets chinned by Gervonta Davis, we can't exactly make the Anthony Joshua.
Michael Bisping pointed out that in exhibition fights, money often outweighs skill, suggesting Jake Paul could beat Gervonta Davis not because of better ability, but due to his size advantage and the financial dynamics involved, arguing that exhibitions don't follow the same legitimacy as sanctioned bouts, and when the focus shifts to entertainment, outcomes can be influenced in unexpected ways, with Jake's larger frame and the looser nature of an exhibition potentially working in his favor.
Know what? Fair play. If he does go out and fight Anthony Joshua, which I wouldn't advise because that would be extremely dangerous, then fair play if he was to do that. And all the critics and people like myself would have to shut the hell up, because I always said he's looking for fights that were manufactured, looking for fights that were predetermined. And by that, I don't mean fake fights. I don't mean fixed fights. I mean fights where the odds are so stacked in his favor that of course he's going to win. And of course, we see this. The latest match that's going to go down November 14th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Jake Paul is taking on, you've seen it by now, Gervonta Tank Davis. A man that is a lightweight in boxing. Now, lightweight in MMA is 155 pounds. Lightweight in boxing, 135 pounds. Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds.
Official weight, 227.2 pounds.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92 pound weight difference. Almost a 100 pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65 pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
The Wade Concept host described Jake Paul as a master manipulator who knows how to provoke opponents and create opportunities, explaining that Jake baited Gervonta Davis into this fight by flaunting wealth, building hype, and turning it into a financial offer too big to refuse, stressing that Davis isn't chasing legacy here, but rather responding to the payday, while Jake's true strength lies outside the ring in marketing, promotion, and psychological tactics that pressured Davis into a matchup that may not make sense competitively, but does financially.
And again, Jake's only been boxing for 5, 6, 7 years now. It isn't necessarily far-fetched to try to have his own advantages when trying to fight other boxers that have been far more experienced than him, but this one's a little too much, right? This one is crazy because of the massive weight difference. It doesn't make a ton of sense. But again, as far as a sport fight is concerned, I want to make sure I make that clear. Again, this is not me hating on it, because I do think that both guys have been very upfront with what they're doing in this fight and what their goals are with these kind of events. But the narrative Jake's trying to create as if this is like proving anything for him fighting a real fighter when Gervonta is so much smaller than he is. It'll prove something in the fact that Jake is willing to put on great events, but it won't prove anything to the people that are asking him to fight a real fighter. I will say though, if Jake goes out and flatlines Gervonta, the casual audience that will say Gervonta smokes Jake completely and utterly, like it wouldn't even be close, that will change their minds a little bit. Not the people that know boxing, but the people that are going to watch this, the casual viewer that know the name Gervonta Davis and know the name Jake Paul. If he is to compete with Gervonta at all or look good in that fight, people will in some way accept that. Or they'll do the other thing where they just say the fight's rigged, which has never been the case, but you get what I'm saying. What Jake is doing is trying to convince a casual audience that he belongs in the ring with bigger names. If he's able to hurt Gervonta at all, that might actually do it.
The undefeated lightweight champion of the world,
with a record of 30-0, 28 knockouts.
And this one is over.
The brick
He's been
hand.
boxing since he was 5 years old and turned pro when he was 18.
Gervonta Davis at 22 becomes the youngest champion in boxing.
And guess what? Just like everybody.
Then Ryan Garcia, a longtime rival of Gervonta Davis, bluntly criticized Jake Paul's move as a cheap publicity stunt and claimed the only reason Davis accepted the fight was money, arguing that real fighters chase legacy, titles, and history rather than taking mismatched bouts against bigger men, which he believes undermines competition. And while his comments carried a touch of rivalry given his ongoing feud with Tank, Garcia maintained that this matchup is about cashing in rather than proving skill, stripping dignity from the sport and damaging the credibility of everyone involved.
That last week shook up the boxing game, Jake Paul versus Tank, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like everyone's talking about it. It's a whole thing. A lot of people liked it, didn't like it.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first saw that it was a thing?
It pissed me the fuck off, bro.
Yeah, why?
It's just disappointing on mainly Jake's end. You know, we're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more. We're not falling for you're not a fighter no more. We're not falling for that. You know, you're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And then on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. And, you know, I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing and kind of it was not a good move by Jake Paul. You know, I understand people saying, you know, Gervonta got to go get his money, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, oh, you got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit. That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, well, LeBron's making too much. Like, nobody cares, bro. If LeBron's missing the shot, he's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you know, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Yeah. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. Yeah. And to me, that's just it's tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit, bro, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if Gervonta was Jake Paul's size, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There probably wouldn't even be a fight. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just think that it's a disgrace to boxing.
Former champion Shawn Porter argued that Jake Paul's boxing journey is defined by opponents accepting fights for paydays rather than respect, explaining that while Jake has lured credible names into the ring with money, he still lacks genuine admiration from the boxing community, since respect comes through legacy and meaningful victories, not spectacle. And although Jake's influence as an entertainer is undeniable, Porter sees this matchup with Gervonta Davis as yet another high-profile event fueled by dollars instead of the respect that builds legendary careers.
I like when it's all said and done, and when you guys go off, they go into the next man. Yeah. So if y'all can make a big payday, go get that payday. The sport of boxing don't love you, and that's the problem with this sport. It's like what Jake Paul did, man. It's crazy, but people getting paid off of it.
Yeah.
So if he can call any one of y'all out and y'all can get that payday, I say go get it, baby.
I'm
not mad at it.
For me, and I'm not mad at this move at all for Tank Davis, but I think when it comes to boxing fans, there's an essence that comes with this sport, and it's an essence that hasn't been lost, unlike other sports. For an example, with football, we come from the hitting days.
Yeah.
Can't hit nowadays. You know what I mean? So boxing hasn't lost its essence. You know, they're trying to make it safer and all those sorts of things, but there's still this pureness to boxing that really doesn't exist in sports anymore. But it's still there with boxing. I think that's why people have such a problem with this kind of move from Tank Davis.
Is it more the heart? How do you guys feel being boxers?
Man, like once you hear the numbers, I'm like, they're talking like, I don't know the official one. They're talking about like 100 mil.
Oh damn.
Like, they're talking about these insane numbers. Like I'm gonna be like, don't take that. I'm not gonna tell another man not to take that type of check, especially for something like that. It's not on your official record. It's an exhibition. I'm not gonna lie here and act like I'm not gonna say yes to 100 million or something like that.
Legendary trainer Teddy Atlas highlighted that while Gervonta Davis is far more skilled, experienced, and versatile compared to Jake Paul, the extreme size difference poses a serious risk, since a naturally larger man can absorb more punishment and deliver heavier shots, making the matchup dangerous even for an elite fighter. And in Atlas's view, this fight represents the central tension of ability colliding with size in unpredictable ways.
Right? Who's not a professional fighter. What happens? That's what would sell it. I know what the size difference is what creates the problem. The optics, the look, the reality. I mean, you got one guy who's fights at 135 pounds, and you got another guy who fights at 200. I mean, just that alone, yeah. But you also, and I'm not saying I want this or I like this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter. He can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? That's it'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa. Do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have to bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next time.